Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us today. I have a good friend of mine, Mitch, who is an owner of Pink's window washing services. And we go way back, probably, I don't know, like 4 years at least. Yep. Being in the world of entrepreneurship and technology and all of those things. So yeah, I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, Christy.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, give everybody the lowdown. What is it like to be a franchise owner, and what kind of got you into that route of starting a business?
Yeah, absolutely. Owning Pinks it's been a journey for sure. We bought the territory last year, launched it in March, so been open for about 6 months, and it has been the most fun we've ever had, and also the most stressed I've ever been. So it is equal part of two extremes, but it is a ton of fun, and we're really excited about where it's going.
That's awesome. And what made you decide? Because I know Pink's, there's a little bit of a story because of like, I know Cody Sanchez is a
Yeah.
big promoter of the company.
Yeah, so I was originally following Cody Sanchez, thinking I was going to buy a business, and that would be kind of the way that I would enter the entrepreneurship journey, looking at buying a car wash, buying a laundromat, all the things that she recommends in her book and things like that, and then learned about Pink's. She bought a stake. I don't know exactly how much she owns of the franchise or Resi brands, and so when we learned about Pinks, we were like, wow, there's something here. Loved the marketing, loved just kind of the people that started it. The guys that started it are just two of the most straightforward, honest, just good guys that you'll ever come across, and the type of people we wanted to get into business with. And we just kept learning more and more about the franchise, what they were about. It's really taking a very simple business model and treating people right, and being servants. And my wife and I bought it. We run it together, and that was something that we both could really get behind. And so we decided to just go all in.
That's fun. It's a good thing to do. What would you say for people that are kind of looking at a franchise model? What are some key things that you're like, oh, I wish I knew this, or hey, no, I was prepared because of this type of experience that I had, prior
Yeah.
to.
One of the things that I really liked about it is, you know, there's a saying a lot in the franchise space that you are in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And that idea that, I had a question this morning. I felt like our marketing was just kind of off. And so I'm texting or slacking some of the other guys who I know are doing really well with their marketing, trying to figure out, okay, are you spending more than I am? How are you getting these results? Is there something you're doing? And so having all those resources available to you, especially as a first-time business owner, first-time operator, I think is really valuable for us to really figure out, what we can do to make this successful. There's a playbook. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't consider myself to be creative. Like I wasn't going to figure out, where there was a gap missing and exploit it and create it. Like I couldn't like make something from scratch. But if someone says, "Hey, here's a playbook, go execute," that was right up my alley, and so it was just a really good fit for me, especially as a first-time business owner.
Yeah. And it makes it fun too when you have that community in the background to kind of help along the way. I think that's the hard part sometimes of when you start from scratch with a
Yeah.
business is it's lonely and you don't have
Mhm.
a lot of people out there to, speak into your life or kind of help, hey, maybe you should go this route or this route over here. And it
Yeah.
makes for very interesting things because I think I've even seen that on my journey is so many of my friends circle, they've always been 9 to 5ers
Right.
and they just look at world in a different way, just like I do as well. And when you have those conversations are, well, I don't know if I should hire somebody or I have this. And they're like, well, I don't know. What's the problem with that? I'm like, well, I haven't slept in 4 days because I've thought about it.
Right. Yeah. Cody Sanchez has a story that she always tells where she says, you've really become an entrepreneur when you're sitting up in the middle of the night, face in your palms, trying to figure out what to do next, and you just can't sleep and can't, that's a rite of passage. I haven't had that yet, but I've been close.
But coming soon,
It's
right?
coming, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know. I've had a lot of those, and probably even more in the recent few months as I'm kind of getting ready to scale and all of those things. Of oh, when you get so many ideas and the ideas always come about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning when you're
Mhm.
tired. Yeah. You're like, oh, here's the
Always.
$1 million idea, and then too tired to write it down. Wake up in the morning, I have no idea what I was so excited about to write
No.
down. But it's good. How long have you had your business?
So we bought the territory last year, like July, August, and then um, we launched it in the middle of March. So we just passed the 6 month mark. My wife immediately left her job and was running Pinks while I was working full time, kind of just like helping in the background. And then about a month ago, I was able to go full time with it and really just dig into it. And so it's been a big journey for sure. And it feels like we've been in business a lot longer than 6 months.
Which is fun. And I
Yeah.
think it's great to be able to do things together. I have different family members that have done that, of husband and wife teams, and they are just like this crazy dynamic duo that is really cool. And I imagine it's the same for you guys too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With what is one thing, I think Denver's a unique market in a
Yeah.
ways with the window washing, just because of the seasonality of that. And how have you, well, you're learning to navigate that road of
Yeah.
what does winters look like and what are additional services that you can provide. And I think that's where you get to start being creative in ways that maybe ones that are here in Nashville, it's winter is very different here.
Yeah.
And yeah, all of those things.
Yeah, so I mean, we're working really closely with the franchise, and they're really open to the ideas that we have because they know it's a concern with them starting in Austin. There's a downtick, but it's nothing crazy. But then they also do a really good job of saying like, "Hey, look, we hear you, but we know that there's going to be rushes for the holidays. Like people are hosting Thanksgiving, they're hoping, they're hosting Christmas, and so just really trying to figure out what that looks like. And for us, March is always a busy time, so we see that February time as an opportunity for us to um, start scaling and get guys up to speed and really ramp things up so that we're hoping that it'll be kind of a slow January, and then February, while it might not have as much business on the books, we're really using it strategically as an opportunity to hit March as hard as possible, get more vans, get guys trained up. And so, looking at that long term perspective of just how do we make sure that we're maximizing the busy months that we have.
Yeah, it's good. And I know we come from the technology background, and it's been fun over the last few years. Of we've worked on a handful of projects, and seen a lot of businesses and how they do things. And how are you utilizing technology in your business?
Yeah. So we've gotten really lucky. Some of the tools that the guys that started Pinks are still running their business down in Austin, Texas. So they're constantly experimenting with things and asking for our opinion and trying to see like how can we make this better from a technology standpoint. We currently utilize a software called Jobber, which is kind of a workforce management and CRM and kind of everything all in one type package, and it's a really intuitive tool. We really like it, and when they were considering different options, I actually threw my hat out there and said, "Hey, I've run a few selection projects. Like, I'm happy to help you guys." But they already had it figured out, and they're like, "Hey, if there's anything else, we'll take you up on that." But yeah, we've gotten really lucky there. And then there's also the opportunity to do some other things. We're really big into getting data and dashboarding and just making sure that we're getting as much visibility and insight into our business as we can. Harvesting that data is a little more manual than I'm what I'd like and what I'm used to. Like I feel like I'm now the client on this side of things, where I wish I had me on the other side to
Yeah,
try.
you're like, I need those automations and
Yeah,
all of these things.
yeah. So I think it's something that we're working on, just to try and help ourselves to just make data driven decisions. Again, going back to being the franchise, a lot of the variables that we know as business owners are kind of presented in front of us. So we know reverse engineering success. If you get so many quotes, then you convert at such a rate, and then you can kind of project your revenue. And so, making the technology enable you to do that and to get those leading indicators on what's going well, what's not, is really helpful for us and helps us to focus on where we can make the biggest impact.
Yeah. And I think too, going back to your thing with just the metrics and all of that and building dashboards, like how important it is to have those metrics in place so then you can make decisions. And last week I had one of my friends on and they just do all BI type work and build out the dashboards. And we were talking about how that is something for small businesses that's really nice to have. And you can have it today versus it was just a thing that large companies had because they could pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I think one of the cool things about AI. We are seeing a lot more solutions and options really come to the table for small businesses that can really make you feel like you have a larger team than you actually do. And so that's an area that I know at our conference that we have every year, myself and a couple of the other owners who have that tech background, we're talking about different ways that we can leverage AI to just do some of that heavy lifting for us that was pretty manual before.
Hmm. I know I was at a conference in July and they were talking about building those AI agents in the background and various other tools to even build out processes. One guy was on there talking about, hey, if you can train it to even do all those workflow charts like you and I have built out over the years of, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh man, that would have been really nice to have a couple years ago. Like
Right.
taking all those notes, just throwing them in there and having AI kind of build that out in like a Visio, look and feel. And I think that is something that it's a heavy lift to be able to do. And I'm looking forward to utilizing AI more for all of that stuff because I know you want to have good processes and you probably take what the franchise has made and then there's little tweaks to it because you and your wife are unique in how you want your business to show up. And that's what makes the franchises special. I think it's like there's that playbook, but you have a way that you want to build your own culture.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And as we're bringing on more people, we want to scale, and that was one of the things that was really exciting about Pinks was the opportunity to scale. But scaling is, I mean, there's bumps and bruises along the way, and so whatever we can do to limit those, I think, is really helpful.
Yeah. Then you don't have the surprises that pop up out of nowhere. And you're like, oh, that was great. I wasn't really ready for that one yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Um, on some of the have you experienced any as you're starting to grow and things like this and really taking off, where do you see that um I guess the leadership side of things comes in? I've had a lot of interesting conversations with people over the last couple of days. I was at a conference that talked a lot about leadership and just how are you utilizing that inside your model. I mean,
Yeah,
they spoke a lot to, when we're first starting out, we do so much of the operations. And then we eventually want to move that all of our time is going into lifting up this team and building them into the people that they're even more capable than they know of being. And so I'm just curious, as you know, because you're a good leader and you've done a lot of that in the past too, just when we've been on projects. And so just curious how you're starting to implement those key things in your business.
yeah. No, it's funny, being a leader in corporate versus being a leader as a business owner. It's actually an area where I am spending more time, and I've actually had a few bumps and bruises along the way, because I went from managing a group of highly compensated, very competent professionals to now working with hourly guys who didn't really go to college. Maybe they're fresh out of high school. Have been kind of working odd jobs for a little while, and now trying to guide them and teach them and show them. And so it's actually taken more than I had expected. And so this is an area of focus for me as we're trying to really grow them, and really the vision that we try and paint for them is, you could go get, an $18 an hour job anywhere, but when you're here, you're going to learn what hard work is. You're going to learn what customer service is. You're going to learn, really how a business runs and operates. So it's trying to paint that vision of, hey, this is a springboard for you,
Mhm.
and if you lean into it, you can take this places that are way further than working at Home Depot would for you. And
Yeah.
that's walk on Home Depot. I love Home Depot, but I think that I heard someone once say that you need to have a vision large enough to where other people's dreams and goals can fit into your vision, and that's something that we're trying to do. And it's honestly it's been tougher than I thought, because there's only so long you can wash windows for. And so I tell my guys all the time that if you're with me for too long, then we've both kind of failed. So I want this to be a stop along their way, and one that they look back and they see they got a ton of value out of. But I don't think it's a career for them. So how can I help them to level up and progress, and hope that they can lean into that? And that's what they want. Some people just want to punch the clock and be done. Uh,
Mhm.
Not the type of people we're trying to attract.
Right. It's those that it's like, we want to invest in you and we want you to invest in this. And then hopefully where you go to next, you take everything that you learned and you're now making a lot more. You have this added skill set that you're curious to know more on. And I think you see that a lot in the manufacturing world too, of people that
Mhm.
start out as machinists and then they start moving into, different areas of that and unraveling skills that they didn't know that were potentially there. I
Yeah.
mean, my brother worked he worked for a Department of Defense company, and they built a lot of stuff for the military and things. And that was a lot that he saw. I mean, he started out as a machinist, and then pretty soon he was running a whole team, and then gets promoted to be on the R&D side. So all of those things that it's like going in, you never had an idea of what you could be,
Right.
and you have the right people around you that believe in it.
Yeah, I mean, you go from thinking, "Hey, I got a job," to now I
Yeah.
have a career.
Hmm.
Uh, and there's definitely, as we grow, and look at me replacing myself, I think there's opportunity for us to make some of those more career
Hmm.
positions for people. Um, but I also want them to just take it and run with it, and take the lessons learned, and go find something where they can apply those skills.
Yeah, exactly. One question for you is, have you always seen yourself? This is one of the questions that came in from Avery, and I like this one. Have you always seen yourself as an entrepreneur, or what is the moment you knew you wanted to start your own business?
Yeah, so in the 2 weeks, so when I graduated from college, I had a job lined up. I had an internship with Dish Network, and they offered me a job right out of college. And I had 2 weeks between ending college and starting my first professional job. And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I think that a lot of the seed was always there, but that was when it like came to fruition, and I was like, oh, this is what I'm doing. So it was interesting. I was, getting into my career where I was working a job, but I knew that it wasn't always going to be for me. And so, I always had side hustles and things like that, just to try and figure out like how I can build something up to eventually make that leap. Um, so I think it's always kind of been there, and reading that book helped to uncover it and identify it and label it as what was always kind of different about me for not wanting to work that job, even though I was starting one like the
Yeah.
next.
It's like the things like deep down inside of you, you're like, I know I'm not really cut for this because I'm made for this over here, to be that creative person and kind of answer to yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think, yeah, I'm kind of the same way of, that's just innate skills in me, or just wanting to know that. But I would say, what is one thing that, if people were listening today, just a key takeaway that you would say for anybody potentially looking to be an entrepreneur or looking to go into the franchise world?
Um, I think I've been listening lately to different books and podcasts, and the idea of just keep going. I think that that's been one of the things that people have found and identified as the one variable for success in the entrepreneur space, is to just not quit. And if there have definitely been some times where my wife and I have been like, what are we doing here? Like, should we just go get jobs again? Like, this is a lot. But I think that if we, just keep going, and the benefits and the rewards and everything that we want are around the corner. We just have to keep going. I don't know how far away that corner is, but we'll get there eventually. We just have to keep going.
Yeah. No, I get that. Because it's hard a lot of times where it is easier. Like, man, the predictability of just a check coming in would be so
Yeah,
nice right now. But
right.
you're like, I would hate it if I went back. And I think that's the thing that probably keeps all of us pushing forward in that
Yeah,
respect.
yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
cool. All right. Well, I appreciate your time. I know you have lots to do today. So thank you so much for, informing everybody about what franchise world looks like and a little bit of your entrepreneurial journey. I really appreciate it.
Nah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Chrissy.
Yeah,
Always good to catch up.